Yeah, like one of the biggest things that I got is this. It's almost like one of those things. Like the more you know, the more you think you know, the more you don't know. That's just the best way, even with my training, but even like with learning from you with finances and this and that. It's almost like again, I click on a tab and there's more. And just to know how little we know, I guess, as a country about finances. And I shared this before with when I was in high school. When I started as a plumber, apprenticeship program, I'm making good money. And the bank just came to me and is like, we have a gift for you. I'm like, what is it? It's a credit card. What should I know? Nothing. Just enjoy it. And it took me like a decade to finally pay that thing off.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know at the time, just the lack of education. I think even for me as a trainer, as a coach, I've always wanted to be a teacher. Then I hit high school and I said, screw that. But for me, I always like to coach and educate and mentor in some ways, like form like that. And for me, it's almost like even with the world of fitness, which I know a bit, but it's one of those things of like people coming up to me. And if I did like a little survey and I'm like, hey, for you to be in shape or healthy or fit, whatever that definition means to you, what do you got to do? And most people are like, well, I should probably eat more protein, eat more veggies, eat less, move more, drink water, take vitamins, lift weights, and all this stuff. Okay, but how much of it do you know, or is it just you're trying to memorize or you read it off of somewhere? How much have you actually implemented? And I think that's with almost any field. Same with therapy. You go to therapy and like, hey, cool, you got your tools. You know how to maybe self-regulate or do this or set boundaries, but can you implement it? And I think that's kind of what we're missing, or at least I notice in the world of like finances, where it's like, hey, if you ask anyone, do a Jimmy Fallon interview on the streets and asking all these things like, oh, I should probably do this, probably do that, get life insurance, do this. But how many of them actually implement it? How many of them are just uneducated? How many just don't care until shit hits the fan and life throws a curveball at you, or, experience a loss, or a family member's in the hospital, and all these different things. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've almost gained, was almost like more wisdom that I don't know enough.
Yeah.
But now it's to implement what I do know to kind of get that ball rolling. Because I find even within my circle, or just seeing how the country is, a lot of them are just spinning their tires and they're wondering why they can't get ahead, but they haven't stopped pressing on the gas and reassessed the situation. And I think that's one of the biggest things that has me almost dumbfounded. Hopefully there's a better word for that, but it's one of those things of just realizing myself in my industry and in different fields. This one thing is to know, or you think you know, but then the other thing is to implement. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've gotten to carry that momentum forward myself. Because that credit card that I told you about that I had hanging over my head, I finally paid it off. And even though I had to use it again, I'm on track to pay it off. Something so minor, but it took me, almost a decade?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you probably see a lot of that too.
I find that where we tried to intercept people's lack of knowledge was that people just keep pushing forward, but they don't get a better result because they don't even know how to formulate what their financial future is going to look like. They think because they're investing, that's just it. They don't even know what they're investing in. They might place it over here, they might get these kind of returns. Some people aren't even invested, so they get no returns. Other people let a bank decide and they get minimal returns, which are going backwards. Then you hear some people doing, 6, 7, 8%. Their stock portfolio advisor or whatever said, oh, we're going to get high risk. We'll go into the 8 to 10 to 12 kind of range. And they think they're taking a high risk, but the reality is the wealthy don't risk and they get much bigger returns than that. You hear people say, oh, I'm doing 10, 12, 14%, which sounds great compared to broke people or people who have no investments, but our inflation is currently at 5.8%. It was as high as 7.2, and these are all, I'm going to call them fictional or static in the moment rates. We can see that beef has gone up 300%. So when you brag about your 10 or 12 or 14%, inflation acting on it at 7% means you're only going up 6 or 7% a year. So let's just do the math, take away all the feelings about this. You literally have to put a 40-year term into gaining 6 or 7% a year if the markets don't ever tank or anything like that. So this is where people can go at it for 10, 20, 30 years. They're not seeing any big gains because every time there's a medical emergency or they need a new car, fixing an engine, getting a new house, doing renovations, putting a roof on, they have to break it and then just slowing everything down. All we were trying to do is get people to understand that you have to do something different to get a different result. And this is where a lot of people really have not understood. We can get people to sit down and hear, but they don't put it into effect. So they get the same result they had before they listened. They never said, I'm going to do this. So everything that they're doing just results in nothing over a long period of time, or minimal growth when you're talking about decades, but they think they're winning because it's better than what the people at their broke tables are reporting back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to teach them something else because they think seeing what they're worth on a piece of paper is some type of guarantee. Let's see, stock markets have been shut down, trades have been stopped 5 times since the pandemic. There's countries in the world, even UK, where they said, oh, sorry, doesn't matter what you're worth, you can only pull out $10,000 today. In Asia, there was a lot of banks like, no, $1,000 a day, don't care if you're a billionaire. So what does it matter if you think you've got a number in a bank or in your stock portfolio if you can never access it? What if capital gains are increased to 40 or 50%? Then everything that you were building 6 or 7% of the time towards just took a 50% hit, but you spent 40 years doing it. So you essentially threw away uncompounded 20 years of that 40. But hey, as long as they can see it on their annual report, they want something printed. Ignorance is ignorance, and if they don't want to learn better, no one can help them. Apparently you have to hit rock bottom or terrible situations to maybe think differently, but you can't force someone to think differently. The best thing you can do is show them. But at that point, like I said, I can hold the door open, you can hold the door open. If they don't walk through, that's on them.
100%.
I don't really care. If the world still chases money, then they're going to have to trade time for money, and they're never really going to understand how the wealthy got wealthy. The wealthy didn't chase money.
The thing is, all these things, like, again, I'm just able to relate it to my field with like a personal training in the gym, where a lot of my clients is like same thing. I can give you the best program nutrition, I can do detailed everything, but at the end of the day, they have to implement it. Or I'm like, start with, I don't know, a walk in the evening. Start with one little thing, and then add another thing, and then add another thing. And even then, sometimes I kind of give them, we'll say, a bare minimum to do, and that's a mountain for them. Mm-hmm. I'm too busy, or I'm this or that. I understand.
I hate that. I'm too busy.
And I understand those. You know, if you have kids, that's a different thing. Like I dated someone who has a house in his life from 2 to 4. Time's different. Mm-hmm. If it takes 30 minutes for him to put on socks, time's different. I understand that. But at the same time, but even with that example, it's like, hey, you have different priorities or routines and stuff like that. But then I have people who, I'm like, hey, start with this bare minimum. And it's like I said, a mountain for them to climb. And it's like, okay. And then I have other people. I'm like, hey, we're going to start with this, A, B, C, X, all the way through Z. And like,
strategically planning small incremental.
And they're like, okay, got it. Let's go. Okay. So it's just interesting to see like the parallels of all that and to see who's comfortable where they're at, even though they're unhappy, and who's willing to do something about it. Because like you said, sometimes it takes an emergency. Sometimes it takes life throwing a curveball or a slap in the face for you to do something. And a lot of times, a lot of my clients who come back with a medical report, or they're like, if I don't change my life around, I'm going to be diabetic. Or if I don't change my life around, I'm going to be this or that. And sometimes they need that urgency. And I think with how the country's going,
unfortunate though.
It is.
Because they were just so procrastinating every day, or they thought they were comfortable, but really they were in discomfort. But that discomfort wasn't as bad as the pain of immediately making a change. Until your blood work comes back, oh my God, hypertension, oh my God, high cholesterol. And then you imagine being forced to make a change when you could have just decided to do things healthy better, finances better, family better. Like you said, little bits every day. Why does it have to be catastrophic before you find out what you value?
Something that came to mind is I wonder why it's so all in or out mentality. I don't know if that's just kind of what we've been fed.
Well, everything has to be extreme. What do you see on social media? you see the extreme left and the extreme right. We're not even going to attach them to political parties.
Yeah, just
This isn't how most people actually live their lives. You just see the loudest ones. So you've got one side taking, here's the event that just happened. This side goes and says, meh, 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 based on this information. And this side says, meh, 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 on this information. To the point where we're condoning life based on your political views. The majority of the population does not believe on either of these sides. These are clowns everywhere. But this is what gets people riled up and they go looking for it.
Yeah.
How did we get to the point where we think it's okay that a loss of life happened? Doesn't matter which side you're on, what led to what. How have we just taken, is life so easy for everyone that we can decide who gets to go and stay and all that kind of thing? And we're going to agree with this group to the point where we're so nuts that we wish harm or death for this group. I don't know how this is even a scenario, but like I said, that's only maybe 5% of the population. The other 95 are just trying to find their way, but they're caught in all of this
noise
of doom and
yeah.
gloom. I don't want anybody to ever starve. If you take it right down to the fundamentals of why we started what we did here in the city, it's because we saw the trending of costs going up and compensation not matching it. And I'm not saying it should. I'm not talking about the economics of it. We just basically said, forget about what people think. Forget about how you think, feel, or your biases towards it. Here's the mathematics of succeeding. Let's interject. So the people, we're not going to force it on people. Here's the knowledge it would take to build a better 5-year, 10 years, 20 years for you and your family. So you can take care of 3 generations, your parents, you, and your children. That way, if a medical emergency comes up, you can take care of it. If your engine blows up, you can take care of it. Finances are no longer what guides your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And no one really understood the purpose. We just wanted to make sure people were getting fed. I don't care if you're worth $1 billion or negative $10,000. You should be able to eat. And I'm not going to turn that into this side's propaganda of, it's these people's fault, I don't get to eat. No. That's just what your stupid group thinks. And this side over here that's saying, I should be able to eat more than you because these are my taxes. No, you're an idiot too. Let's agree that everyone should be able to eat. And if it's just knowledge they need to make sure they can put food on the table for their families for the rest of their life, let's deal with the math behind it, not how you feel. And apparently that's been too difficult for most people to understand because they don't get the food immediately. Even though along the way we've just been feeding thousands of people in our community.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to get across to people better than that. So you kind of just have to take your efforts elsewhere. You'll be appreciated when they hit that point of, oh shit, I should have started doing this 2 years ago. But then they just get mad at who they think is responsible for oppressing them here in Canada.
I mean, yeah.
I'm just going to bring it up. You're from.
But I'm Salvadorian, but being a first generation Canadian, I've been able to see I guess hear from my parents' experiences from the Civil War and what they've gone through. And now being here, and it's one of those things, I think I had a conversation prior with you, where it's like, anything that I'm going through is nothing compared to what my folks went through. And like my dad fleeing the country because he was being groomed to be a child soldier. If he made a left instead of a right, he and I wouldn't be here. My sister wouldn't be here. So for me, it's not that I'm undermining my own struggles or, experiences. But for me, it's one thing that I did get from dance. Someone told me, he's like, and I carry this with me to this day. There's a difference between a crisis and an inconvenience. And I think...
Wise words. We blow what we don't like way out of proportion because it's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. So for me, it's like, okay, if I had my car, got jealous that I was booking Mexico, he wanted some money spent on the car, and I had to do some repairs. Was it unexpected? Was it part of my budget? No. It's an inconvenience. It's not life or death. And
there's a transit system as crappy as it is, where if your car is down, you could literally hop on a bus and still
Uber.
Go make your revenue.
Or Uber.
Exactly.
Uber.
Yeah, exactly. You could pay too much to Uber.
Yeah, that's how privileged we are. But that always stuck with me, and it's like, hey, how many times when you get emotional or angry, like you see, I want this, and then this is in the way. And I blow this up so much that now this inconvenience in my head is now a crisis.
Or oppression.
Or oppression, or whatever word you want to add to it. When it's like, all right, keep going. So for me, it's there you go.
Whoa! I shouldn't have to do that.
But shit happens.
It really does.
But it's one of those things that I carried with me. Like, hey, difference between the crisis and inconvenience. Is it actually life or death? I never experienced anything like that. I hope I never do. But hearing what my father went through and my mom went through, I'm like, okay, I have more appreciation of, all right, the car needs repairs. That's okay. I have a car. Right? It's not 50 years old. I don't have to duct tape it together.
You have a refrigerator?
You have a refrigerator?
Exactly.
But it's one of those things where but again, I think that's the perspective that's helped me along the way, where I'm like, hey, it'll be fine. We'll figure it out. It'll be fine. And all these different things. And a big thing that I think I gathered just from our conversation too is just starting with your finances and with my world of training, where people I want to lose 50 pounds. Okay, great.
Start with one.
Start with move. Yep. Start with your walk. Start doing this. Maybe get the sugar-free one, or if you can, don't drink them at all.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of water.
Sugar-free, salt-free, sodium-free water.
Calorie-free. And it's all these things of just starting. And I think even kind of what you touched upon, where I don't know how to get people to listen. And a lot of the times the thing is just us being examples. So for me, the amount of times I talked to one of my trainers about this, how people would message me on Instagram, be like, oh man, because of your photos or your videos or your content, I started working out. I had one person from the dance team message me that, and I had no idea. I noticed she started to get shredded, but I had no idea that I was one of her inspirations. She never contacted me for my service. We haven't really talked about it, but when she opened up and told me your stuff inspired me to start moving, I didn't get an instant payout. I didn't get any payout. But the fact that I was able to inspire someone that way, and I'm like, okay, cool. Now you're going to lead this example for you. I think she has 2 kids. My blessing will come.
You don't even know when you're making an impact. So
Yeah.
don't worry about making an impact. Just be solid in your intention every day, because you don't know who's watching.
And that's a
It
big
might
thing.
be the catalyst for someone else, and you'll find out 2 years later.
Yeah. And
But
my
you weren't
blessing.
hurting anyone along the way.
Yeah.
So this is all positive. It doesn't have to be a monetary return like everyone else.
And my
You make
blessing will
someone's
come
life
around.
better. Yes.
Yeah. And my blessing will come in a different way.
Absolutely.
Type thing. So for me, it's just it's so interesting just to see these parallels of just start. And you see when you talk about the wealthy or the people that are say in the fitness industry, you see your favorite influencer, model, bodybuilder, whatever. They've been training for most likely decades.
Yes.
Most likely decades, and they just happened to be at the right place at the right time when social media popped off. But you don't see what led up to it and stuff like that. And I think, as you mentioned, to answer a question 2 or 3 questions ago, was the instant gratification of social media. You see someone who's posting, it's all highlight reels, right? I'm on this trip, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's all highlight reel, I get it. But you don't see what it took for them to get to that point. You don't see what it took for them to, say, build that wealth.
Yeah, most audiences, 99% just want to see the result, which tells you about the process in their life. The 1% doesn't care about the yacht that you're on or the restaurant you're at. They want to know, man, how do I do that? So the story is the important part to them, because they want to duplicate the story, not the result. Their result will be different. They want to know how you went from, thank you for correcting me on place of origin.
Yeah.
They want to know how that started. And this was the current result, not the value of your entire life.
Yeah.
That's just right now you're here.
Yeah.
How did you do this? Now a dialogue of respect happens. Not, well, I hate that person for being on a yacht, or they just used their credit card and racked it up to make it look like they can be on a yacht, or they're doing some type of favors that are unethical to be on that yacht, or get that person to buy. You can eliminate that when the conversation is about respect.
Yeah. Or focus on you.
Yeah.
Just focus on you.
Yeah, don't even worry about what other people are interpreting from it. This is why we really stress that our members come out to help feed in the community. We're downtown here in our friend's cafe because they're rebuilding Chinatown, or trying to.
Yeah.
So everywhere around here is basically the unhoused, homeless community, whatever fancy word you want to put on it, so you can pretend it's not an issue. So we bring people here to see the ugly that they try and drive around every day,
Yeah.
ignore it from being here, so people understand what really being down and out looks like. And I don't want to hear about how they deserve being there, or they're just drug addicts or this. People just want to say that so they can lump everyone together and say, it's not worth my time to go help. That tells us right off the bat who we continue to work with, because they have seen struggle. Let's say someone hadn't been in your situation growing up, they were only ever born here in Edmonton, and their parents shielded them from the thousands of homeless people in the community. I'm going to make sure they may not even have to make the food. We'll make the food. We'll pay for the food. Here at the cafe, they let us prepare it. But you're for damn sure going to come out with us and walk it and hand it to them with your hand to their hand. Because there's no one in a better position there when that burger or hot dog or sandwich and a warm drink exchanges hands. The point of contact when the two hands touch it, everybody's equal.
Yeah.
And if people do not want to come out and help us do that because it's not pretty, or it makes them realize they don't really have problems, so they'd have to stop complaining about something.
Confront themselves,
They have to confront that image in the mirror is really burning them up every day, so they want to direct negativity at everybody else. It tells us a lot when they come and do charity or not.
No, for sure. I think we went, Christmas Eve?
It was freezing.
It was fucking cold.
And what, minus 24?
It was
Put
cold.
on some Santa hats and just
And
went.
you were somehow just wearing this?
Well, we put the time in to develop a product. I can literally wear a hoodie at minus 25. It feels cold, but I don't need 3 layers. Why would we do this? So that next year, when it gets cold again, we're going to have a product that we can go hand out to the people who don't have homes, and they'll stay a little bit warmer.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, I don't want to talk about it like, oh, look, pat on the back what I'm doing, because it's still taking time. That's not why I said it. You just happened to bring this up.
Yeah.
But that's the thought process. Yes, I'm actually busy doing what it is that we do globally, what it is we do here in the city, how we help you, the young entrepreneurs, with our time. So when I hear someone say, I don't have time, what are you doing that you don't have time? You should be on your way to being the next billionaire if all your time is taken up and you think you're efficient.
I think one of the biggest things that hit me was also, because I had this conversation, I think here with Wilson, where I said, like, I don't have balance in my life, but I have harmony. And I instantly saw him just like, right. Because for me, it was a moment where I remember, like, I had 8 clients all day at work, and I had to go to the dance studio for 2 hours as we were preparing for the routine. I worked 8 hours with people. And the thing is, I'd rather do 12 in the trades if I want to be, like, less tired. But if I'm sitting down with someone for an hour and I'm engaging with them, it's mentally draining. I'll run out of talking minutes. And for the kids that don't know that reference, was it Verizon? I don't know. Anyway, so 8 hours with clients, went straight to the studio. I think we spent 2 hours either adding or perfecting the routine, and then I would come home and I was jazzed. I had energy. I felt aligned. I was doing my thing. I had no balance, but I was happy doing what I was doing. And I think that's the big thing, and something that I picked up from yourself or like the group and the other young entrepreneurs is we're all fucking busy. We're all busy. But it's one of those things of, okay, well, how can I make my time more efficient? As you said, okay, if I'm filming with Josh and we can film this, say, hour workout, I have now long-term video, medium, shorts, reels, help with my business. Once I launch my apparel, I can wear that in the videos. So now I have content for Instagram, YouTube, short-term, long-term, wearing my apparel, talking about my projects. So I'm doing 5 things in one.
And you'll get 5 results at once.
So
that's wealth. This is what people don't really understand. And I know we've covered this on many videos. The average person or the broke mindset can't understand how the wealthy are wealthy because they don't know how a wealthy person can. Are you getting paid $30,000 an hour? Like how are you worth so much? No. They've got 10 things, 20 things, projects, investments that they put in place 10, 15, 20 years ago that are building in value every second of every day. So they don't make an hourly wage. If you have to go to work for 8 hours a day to charge whatever your salary or hourly rate, $25 an hour for 8 hours. So for 8 hours, you generate $200. Then you go home and you spend and you consume. They're not trading their time for an hourly wage. They've got it all set up so every second of every day, 10 streams of income. And it's not actually income because they haven't sold, but what they've built is going up in value. So if they've got 10 different streams versus your one stream, you can effectively say that you only put in 8 hours, but their streams are coming in 24. So they're already 3 times more efficient than you. But there's 10 different things going up in value. So now they're getting 30 times the return in a day. Not because they went to work and got paid more for an hour. This has been the hardest thing to reconcile with the average mindset, is that they don't understand where wealth comes from. Sometimes it comes from selling a product. But how did you get to the point where you had a sellable product? Yes, it was bought overnight, $1 billion. But it probably took you 15 years to get here. Yes, AI is the big word right now, but it's been worked on since the late 90s. And if you want to go back further, technically much more, but from what we understand.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, $1 billion over 25 years doesn't sound as much when there's literally crypto shifts that are worth $1 trillion. You find out it's a scam, but this is what the world has a problem with. They're just looking at the number and how quickly they think it happened.
Well, I mean, especially with how efficient these things are, instant gratification. And like I said, same with fitness. Like, I'm going on a trip in 6 weeks. I want to get shredded. I'm like, well, you might need some white powder and go on a Kate Moss diet. It's not going to be great for you.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
what result do you want and how quickly? Because there's going to be consequences.
There's going to be consequences. It's one of those things of like, hey, like being intelligent and strategic, and we'll say pre-planning or planning, because like sometimes you'll have a plan and you have to completely scrap it and off you go type thing, right? But it's one of those things of having, we'll say, the discipline and routine, but still being open and fluid to whatever life throws at you and stuff like that. And again, a lot of the stuff, and I tell this to my clients, a lot of the stuff that you build, we'll say the habits that you built or you reaffirm in the gym translates outside the gym.
Oh my God, yes.
And same this,
just say go to the gym if you're having a bad day. It'll change everything after that.
And even so, example, if a client comes in 5 minutes every session, guarantee you're 5 minutes late to everything else in your life.
Yep. Or probably compounds each time, because then you're complaining about it. You leave a little late, then you make an excuse, stop for coffee instead of trying to get it back on track. Yeah.
But it's one of stuff like that. And same thing with the gym. It's like, okay, well, if you say you're working out, but then it starts to get a bit rough and you stop and you have 2-3 reps in the tank. It's like, okay, well, how about you try? And you just max out. Close your eyes, make sure, obviously be safe, good form. Blast it. Give me 1 set instead of 3, but blast it. See what you can do. You'll be surprised. And I think a lot of the stuff that I try to incorporate with my clients is the like mental and the mindset stuff. I'm like, okay, well, if you complain with we're doing exercise A, B, C. All right.
Can we just start with C and get it over with?
All right. How about there'll be moments where I would joke with them, and I tell them, I can tell you we're gonna go pet baby seals, and I swear you're gonna complain. And I had this moment happen to me one time at an old gym. She happened to be head office, and it just came out. And I just told them, hey, why are you here? I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay. How do you think you're gonna do that if you complain after anything that I say we're gonna do? Any exercise, any this, any that. I'm like, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be. You have a 5 o'clock prime time spot. I can replace this quickly as someone that wants to be here. And the moment that came out of my mouth, and I remember she worked in head office, I'm like, she's either going to have a great workout or...
You're going to be the next conversation. She tells her friends about you being the biggest asshole.
And all these things. And I remember she just looked at me, nodded, and she had a great workout.
Yep.
Mind you, she didn't work out with me afterwards.
Yeah.
But then she worked out with a friend of hers, and the friend of hers came to me. She's like, okay, I understand what you're saying. But again, it's the challenges of life and stuff like that. And I understand. It's like, hey, the biggest thing that I get from these conversations is just start and be consistent. Because again, the way you'll see a wealthy person, overnight became successful, but you don't see the time built up to it. And same thing with a bodybuilder. You'll see a new sensation just gets on the stage, or this and that. He or she's been training for how many years?
But then the weak mind is just like, that's just drugs.
Yeah, this is drugs, or this,
drugs.
Or you have prodigies and phenoms and stuff like that, but everything takes time. And say with PEDs, it's not like If you remember the old Space Jam with Michael Jordan, and they're trying to have like a pep talk, and they have Michael's secret water or like his stuff, it's just water. But they drink it and then they balloon up and they're doing like bodybuilder stuff. I think people see that as, oh, that's just the PED's doing. You get the Captain America serum.
Yeah.
Cool. You still have to train. You still have to eat properly. You still have to rest and recover. I'm not telling people they have to go on PEDs or anything like that.
No,
but if you see
cutting out the misconception of thinking
the misconception of it and stuff like that, right?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It amplifies the work.
Exactly. It's an enhancement. If you're not, if you don't have that routine or structure, you're multiplying by 0.
Yeah.
Essentially. Same thing with this. If you give me 50K or whatever amounts, and I don't have the habit to manage it or utilize it properly, I'm gonna blow it. Again, the example of lottery winners. They win X amount, and then after X amount of years, they're back to being broke because they don't have the habit and the discipline.
They didn't earn the money that they won. Those people, because let's say you win $5 million. Not a huge money, but $5 million. The banks are coming to you saying, well, shit, I'll give you $1 million line of credit because now you've got all this money. So you blow the 5, but then you also blow the $1 million. So now you've got $1 million in debt because you never earned the 5. So you never earned the right to leverage responsibly. That's everyone out here. Every time they got a pay increase, they got credit increase. The wealthy just used their credit increase, figured out the interest rate, and invested it elsewhere, so their future kept growing. This instant gratification, back to drinking the juice, is I get deflated even quicker. Getting money you didn't deserve puts you broker faster. That's why you can tell exactly what someone knows, that mindset of why don't the billionaires give away all their money? Because it'll create it'll be a temporary band-aid for roughly 3 to 5 months. By the end of that year, the wealthy will be wealthy again because the average person is only trained to consume, which is what made the people that have the products of consumption wealthy. That is a perfect way to end this conversation, but I'd love to have you back on.
Let's do it. That was perfect.
I love the energy that you bring to the table. So
pleasure.
Appreciate your time.
Pleasure.